Hello everyone, my name is Alexandre Gillion. I'm a lawyer in France and we specialize in immigration law and citizenship law. We've assisted over 1,000 people over the last decade. We assist people everywhere in the world that want to come and live here in France, but we of course assist also people that already live in the country. So if you ever need professional assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and you can also subscribe to this channel and comment below if you have any questions that regard your current situation as a foreigner here in France. So in this video I want to address questions that I often hear is, how am I going to apply to get a long stay visa or a residence permit? Basically, you need to know that a residence permit and a long stay visa are exactly the same thing in 99% of the cases. So first of all, the question is not really how to, but when. Yes, because most of the time when people make a mistake when they apply for a residence permit, it's because they don't apply it at the right time. So you need to know when you are going to apply, and you need to think about your application way before the time you need to apply. Let me explain. If, by example, you live in France, you have a residence permit that will expire in June 2025. You're not going to start thinking about your application 2 months before, because you have to apply 2 months before the expiration date. So if your residence permit expires in June 2025, you think I have to apply in April 2025, which is right. However, due to the fact that you need a lot of time to get all the documents prepared to do the application, you cannot expect to apply in April 2025 and start your application process in April 2025. You need to think about it a very long time before that. Let's say, if I'm giving the same example, you are going to apply in June 2025. Well, you should already think about the renewal in January or maybe February at the latest to be able to apply in April, so 2 months before the expiration date. Also, there are times when you're not allowed to apply to get a residence permit. Let's say my residence permit expires in June, as I said, and June 2025, and I want to apply to renew it in January 2025. Well, you're not allowed to do so. So basically, you may try, but if you are applying through the ANF website, it won't work because you won't be able to push the button until the 2 months before the expiration date. Or if you have to apply the prefecture, you will ask for an appointment, and either they will deny you the appointment or just they won't reply. So in such a case, you need to wait for the time of the right time to do your application online or by appointment. And so there are legal delays in the law that states you have to apply between 2 months to 4 months before the expiration date. However, there is something very important about this that most people don't understand really, is that, let's say they say you have to apply 2 months before the expiration date. What happens if you apply after that deadline? Well, basically nothing. They are not allowed to reject your application only because you have gone over the delay. And the reason you have this 2 months delay is very practical, is that to create the residence permit, the court, it usually takes 2 months. So the idea is I apply 2 months in advance, and so it leaves 2 months for them to create the residence permit, the hard copy. Well, that was very, in reality, that's absolutely no, it works. They take way more time to process the application. You have to wait to get an appointment, and when they've processed the application, only at that time do they start the creation of the hard copy. So they never respect this 2 months delay. So even if you apply 2 months before the expiration date, well, you won't get, I've never seen anyone get the card exactly 2 months after the expiration date and when the first card expires. Also, there is something very important about how to apply for residence permit, is that sometimes in your life things may change. I'm going to take 2 examples that will require you to apply to get a new residence permit. First of all, let's say you are employed by a company and you lose your job. Well, you can wait, of course, but then you won't be able to renew your residence permit because you are only here due to the fact that you have been sponsored by a company to live in France and work here with a working authorization. So if you lose your job, you need to find another employer as soon as possible, because if you don't, you won't be able to renew the card. Okay. Another example, let's say you are living here because you are married to someone who has the right to live in the country, and reasons you get divorced. Well, in that case, you need immediately to apply to change your residence permit, because you are only living in the country through that marriage, and once that marriage is over, and when I say over, I don't mean only getting divorced, because getting divorced may take like like, I don't know, 1-2 years. However, you're not allowed to remain in the country as soon as you don't live together with the person who had the residence permit in the first place. So in these cases, you need to apply for a new residence permit as soon as possible. Okay, the law doesn't allow you to remain in the country if you don't fulfill the conditions that are stated in the law. Another thing about applying to get a residence permit and how to do it is not when, that's what we saw, but where. And also, this is something most people don't understand very well. They think that if they're in France under a short stay visa, they're allowed, if they want to apply right away to get a residence permit. That's not possible. That's not legal, and it has never been. There are a few exceptions to this, but most of the time, if you are here under a short stay visa, you are not entitled to apply to get a residence permit, whatever would be the reason for which you apply. And in that case, you need to go back to your home country and do the long stay visa application over there. You do also have a few long stay visa that doesn't allow you to apply to get a residence permit in France at the end of these long stay visa. There's only one, and it's quite easy to know which one it is because it's the only long stay visa where you have nothing written at the end. So let's take an example. When you have a long stay visa because you have a job here in France and you have been hired by a French company, on your long stay visa it is spelled salarié. Either, let's say, you are here because you are the spouse of a French citizen, well, on your long stay visa it is written membre de la famille d'un Français. When nothing is written on that long stay visa, it means it's the only one that does not allow you to apply to get a residence permit. If you have that one, well, you won't be able to renew it here in France. The only way to get around it is to go back to your home country and there to apply either to renew it, which I won't recommend, or to apply to get another long stay visa, one that will allow you to do a proper application back in France. Also, you need not to make the mistake when you have a long stay visa called visitor. That one you can renew, but when it's spelled nothing, it means it's not a visitor long stay visa, it's a regular long stay visa. Also, if you don't have a long stay visa in France, as I said, you are not allowed to apply directly in the country. You have to go back, and there won't be any circumstances in which they will accept an application for residence permit if you are in the country without a long stay visa. There are a few exceptions to these rules, but for 90% of the cases, that won't be allowed. So when you do an application for residence permits, one of the things that you need to consider is there a risk for me if I do this application? As I said earlier, there is a risk when you do the application, because if you don't do it or you do it at the wrong time, there is a risk of where I do my application. I do my application to get a residence permit, but I am in the country and I don't have a long stay visa. So in both cases, your application will be denied, and there is of course a consequence. That consequence is you will be forced to leave the country in a 30 days delay. And to be honest, of course, that's not something you want. So most of the time, when you do an application, you need to understand the right time to do it, the right place to do it, and of course, that every time you do it, there is a chance that your application is rejected. If it is rejected, as I said, the French administration will leave you a 30 days delay to leave the country on your own. So no one is going to deport you, but you will be requested to leave the country in a very short delay. And so that's something you need to think about, because if your application doesn't go through, well, you will have to leave the country. Doesn't mean you won't be able to reapply afterwards for a long stay visa at the French consulate in your home country. However, being denied is not something that will look good in any application, even for a long stay visa afterwards. So the idea is that your application always go through when you apply to get a residence permit. And so one of the first advice I can give you if you want to apply for residence permit in France is you need to be sure that you are applying for the right one, because there are many residence permits in this country for many reasons, very different. And so you need to be sure that you apply for the one you are eligible to. To give you a very simple example, I am the parent of a French citizen, and I apply as the spouse of a French citizen, but I am not married to the mother of my French child. So I am not entitled to get a long stay visa or residence permit as the spouse of a French citizen because I'm not married. and only entitled to get one as the parent of a French child. So this is a very easy example to understand, but however, there are far more complicated situations, and so before doing the application, you must first know what you think you want to apply for, and if possible, to check that with someone who has the legal expertise to assist you and to help you understand what you are going to apply for and if that's really what you need to apply for. So how to apply to get residence permit? Well, as I said, first it's not how to, but it's when do I have to apply? Then it is where do I apply, depending on what's my situation, and then what are the risks of my application, because sometimes maybe I shouldn't apply because let's say it's of course going to be a rejection of my application, so you need to think about that before doing any application. In any case, if you need advice on how to apply to get a residence permit here in France, feel free to reach out to us. If you want more advice into immigration law in France, don't hesitate to subscribe to this channel or to comment in the section below, so we can reply to your questions. It was Alexandre Julien, a lawyer here in France, in Lyon.